Okay, let's unpack this. Betrayal, wrongful imprisonment, a daring escape, and a revenge so epic it's kept readers hooked for over 150 years.
Yeah.
If you know that description, we're talking about Alexandre Dumas' timeless classic, The Count of Monte Cristo, still wildly popular, countless adaptations.
Absolutely. And today we're doing a deep dive into this incredible story using specific passages you've shared with us.
Right.
These sources trace the story from, its seemingly innocent start right up to near the very end. They capture some really pivotal moments.
So our mission here is to guide you through these key excerpts, pull out the essential characters, the big plot points, and really dig into the themes that make this story still resonate.
Exactly. We'll highlight those surprising bits of knowledge hidden in the details.
And to really get how a story this huge even came about, it helps to know a bit about Dumas himself. This guy was a literary force, wasn't he?
Oh, completely. Produced an amazing number of massive novels between, 1845 and 1855. We're talking tens of thousands of pages. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It really is. His method was sometimes called a factory system, right? Though the text mentions he actually paid his writers quite well, better than some critics claim.
That's right. And he just had this incredible knack for turning historical gossip anecdotes into these sweeping romantic adventures.
Like his other works mentioned in the sources, Lorraine Margot.
Yeah, or Le Chevalier de Maison Rouge. People still read them, still adapt them today.
It totally sets the stage for how a monumental story like Monte Cristo could be created and why it, keeps capturing imaginations.
It really does. So let's jump in. The beginning, as your sources show it, we meet Edmond Dantès. He's a young sailor on the ship Pharaon.
And right off the bat, the sources show he's a really good guy, promising, well-liked. Monsieur Morel, the ship owner, speaks very highly of him.
Calls him a careful fellow, a good son. He's about to be promoted to captain. Things are looking up.
His happiness seems so simple, too, grounded in his love for Mercédès and his father.
Yeah, he tells his father he hopes to be captain without doing that, meaning without leaving him for long trips. He's eager to see Mercédès, ask permission to go right away.
And his devotion to his father is really clear. We see Edmund emptying his pockets, giving him gold, crowns, smaller coins, making sure his dad, who lives on very little, is okay.
It paints this picture of just simple goodness and loyalty.
And it's said in Marseille, on that famous street, the Canebière. The text says the locals boast, if Paris owned the Canebière, she would be a little Marseille.
Gives it that vibrant, real sense of place, doesn't it? Right before everything goes sideways.
But yeah, even in this seemingly perfect setup, the trouble's brewing. The source introduces the antagonists at a cafe, discussing Edmond.
Right. First up, Danglars, the ship's purser. And the way the source describes him is fascinating, almost animalistic.
Right. A snake by his flat forehead, a vulture, a buzzard.
Exactly. It's not just description, is it? It immediately signals his predatory nature, his ambition.
He sees Dante's success as a threat, plain and simple.
That's the core of it. Then there's Caderousse, the neighbor, the innkeeper. Seems weaker, easily led.
He's there when the plot hatches, even winks at Danglars about Fernand's situation. His passive role makes him complicit, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just being there, not stopping it. And finally, Fernand, Mercédès' cousin, described as bravest and best of the Catalans, but
Consumed by jealousy. Because Mercédès loves Dantès. Caderousse says, poor Fernand has been given his congé. He's been rejected.
And the text gives this chilling warning. Fernand is terrible in his vengeance. So right away, we know this jealousy is dangerous.
The trigger for it all is just delivering a letter. Captain Leclerc, before dying, asks Dantès to take a letter to M. Morel.
Such an innocent task.
Yeah.
Fulfilling a dying wish. But it becomes the perfect excuse for the betrayal, cooked up by Danglars and Fernand, with Caderousse just watching.
And bam, that leads straight to Dantès' arrest. He's brought before Villefort, the procureur du roi, the prosecutor.
And the sources really emphasize Dante's naivety here. His innocence, his frankness when he's questioned.
Villefort initially seems to see it too, right? The source says he finds him a charming young man and believes he's innocent.
Yes, that's the crucial point the source makes. Villefort knows Edmond is innocent, but then politics.
Yeah.
The devastating politics mentioned in your sources kick in.
The letter is addressed to Monsieur Noirtier, Rue Coq-Héron, Paris.
And that name, Noirtier,
Yeah.
the sources, it hits Villefort like a thunderbolt.
Because Noirtier is his father.
Exactly, and not just any father. The sources explain Noirtier was Girondin, from the French Revolution.
Right, involved in things like the vote on the king's death, the reign of terror. context the source provides.
In Villefort, he spent his whole career trying to escape that past, aligning himself with the monarchy, King Louis VIII. The king's own anxieties about Napoleon returning from Elba are mentioned too. It's a tense time.
So the letter Dantès has, it's Bonapartist, connected to Napoleon.
Precisely. With Napoleon about to return for the 100 Days, this letter is political dynamite for Villefort. It threatens his job, his position, his upcoming marriage.
Ah, so his motive becomes clear. Protect himself. The source quotes him, "My position does not permit of the slightest scandal."
Even knowing Dantès is innocent, he destroys the letter, sends Edmond to prison, all to save his own skin.
It's chilling. Personal ambition, political fear, completely corrupting justice.
And that leads Dantès to the Château d'If. The sources describe that journey, long, dark passages which make all those who enter them give an involuntary shudder. Just gives you chills reading it.
And the door closing behind him with a loud bang, plunging him into that quick and mephitic air, darkness, silence. His despair is immediate, standing motionless all night.
The jailer even warns him about going mad, mentions a previous prisoner, an abbé, who went crazy, offering millions. Grim foreshadowing.
Dantès' first thought is bribery, right? Offering the jailer money to get a message to Mercédès. Still thinking like the old Edmond.
But then, that scratching sound. He meets Abbé Faria, the supposedly mad abbé.
Who turns out to be this incredible mentor, teaches him everything, math, physics, history, languages. Faria figures it'll take 2 years.
And Dantès is so desperate for knowledge, he offers to give up escape plans just to keep learning. It shows this huge transformation starting. His mind is becoming his weapon.
Their escape plan is pure ingenuity. Faria making tools, chisel, pincers, crowbar from bed parts, digging that tunnel together.
But the first attempt fails because Faria has a cataleptic fit. The source describes it vividly trembling, stiffening, foaming, shrieking.
Faria tells Dantès about the red liquid, right? Pour 8 to 10 drops down his throat, using a knife to pry his teeth open. Practical instruction even then.
Beyond the escape, Faria's biggest gift is the treasure. Shows Dantès the map, tells him the whole Spada family history, the treasure on Monte Cristo.
Details his own research, how he thousands of times did I add up the income and expenditure to figure it out.
And here's a detail that seems random but isn't. Faria telling Dantès about Borgia poisoning methods. The key with the point, the ring.
It shows Faria studied treachery, didn't he? Knowledge Monte Cristo will definitely use later.
Exactly. Then Faria dies, tragically, but his death becomes Dantès' chance. This horrifying, brilliant plan to switch places in the burial sack.
The jailer sews him in, thinking it's Faria, attaches the cannonball. The source makes it so real, Dantès feeling himself dragged down, down, down.
But he has the knife ready, held it in his hand, rips the sack, cuts the rope on his legs.
And surfaces, kicks vigorously and rows unhampered while the sack goes down. The source calls the sea the cemetery of the Château d'If.
Wow.
He literally escapes his own grave.
Freedom. He makes it to the Isle of Tiburon, sees a ship coming from Marseille, and there's that moment of fear, right? Worrying about being recognized.
The trauma's still there. But he quickly finds debris from a shipwreck, a cap, planks it, invents a story. Shows his new quick thinking.
Then the time jump. Rescued by smugglers, the Gendarmerie. The skipper's suspicious at first, but Dantès' sailing skills impress him.
The skipper even notices the cannons firing from the Château d'If, the signal for an escape, but doesn't quite connect it.
But the real gut punch for Dantès is asking the year.
The year 1829.
14 years. He went in at 19, he's 33.
14 years gone. The source says, a sad smile passed over his lips. Then his eyes flashed with hatred.
He renews that oath of vengeance against Danglars, Fernand, Villefort.
And the source stresses, this time it's no longer a vain threat. He's got the motive, the brains, and soon, the money.
Which comes from finding the treasure. He gets to the Isle of Monte Cristo. It's described as surprisingly lively grasshoppers, lizards, goats.
But he still feels watched, fearing inquisitive eyes even in the desert. The paranoia from prison lingers. But he finds the cave, follows Faria's instructions.
And says, open sesame. Right.
Right. The count is about to rise.
Okay, so with the treasure, Dantès isn't just Dantès anymore. He starts using these identities. The sources mention Abbé Busoni.
The Englishman, Sinbad the sailor.
And, of course, the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, these let him move around his old world with power, but anonymously. He can get close without anyone knowing who he really is.
One of his first moves is as Abbé Busoni, visiting Caderousse. Caderousse is friendly at first, then gets agitated when asked about Dantès.
He spins his version, blames Danglars and Fernand, claims he's felt bad about it ever since. Deeply deplored his lot, the source says.
Monte Cristo, as Busoni, tests him, pulls out this amazing diamond worth at least 50,000 francs, says it's from Dantès to be split among all four of you.
Right, implying Caderousse knows more, pushing him to reveal things. It's a clever test of his greed and knowledge.
Then there's the act of saving M. Morel. This feels different, doesn't it?
It does. The sources paint a grim picture of Morel's finances. His shipping firm is failing, he's selling family jewelry, lost his credit.
The source gives specific numbers, 200,000 francs in debt, due very soon. You feel the pressure building.
Then the noise on the stairs, the cry of distress. Penelon, the sailor, arrives. The last ship, the Pharaon, is lost.
Penelon's story of the shipwreck is intense, having to physically throw the captain off the sinking ship to save him. Goodbye to the Pharaon. Just devastating news for Morel.
But then the mysterious Englishman, Monte Cristo in disguise, steps in, pays off Morel's debts anonymously, saves the family from ruin, from dishonor.
The source mentions Morel calling his cashier Calais a pearl, and Morel himself being the pearl of all honest men. A nice Dutch.
And the date is noted, September 5th. This whole thing is framed as gratitude, right? Morel was the only one who tried to help Edmond.
So it's the Count starting to weave himself back into these lives, but not just for revenge. There's loyalty there, too.
Exactly. Now let's follow him into Parisian high society. The sources take us to the Rome Carnival first. It's described as this explosion of life, lights, sweets, flowers, races.
We meet Albert de Morcerf and Franz d'Épinay having fun there.
And then the mood shift when Carnival ends is so stark. The city becomes a vast tomb, dark, like the darkness that fell on Dantès' life.
And that's when Albert gets kidnapped by bandits led by Luigi Vampa.
Monte Cristo gets involved because Franz knows he saved Peppino, one of Vampa's men, earlier.
Right, saved him from that gruesome execution, the Mazzolata. The source calls it extraordinary and interesting, which is quite a description. Shows the Count moves in dark circles.
And the Count's power over Vampa is immediate. No negotiation, just commands. Salite. Orders Vampa around. Vampa obeys instantly.
Albert is incredibly grateful, offers the Count absolute obedience, introduces him to his father, the Count of Morcerf, who we know is Fernand.
Fernand is described as having Spanish origin and a high position.
And Monte Cristo accepts the offer of an introduction to Parisian society, says he's never been, it's his calculated way in.
His arrival in Paris is flashy. A palace-like home. He plays this role of the wealthy, indifferent cosmopolitan, claims he eats anything from macaroni to swallows' nests.
But the source adds that little detail he's actually hungry because he hasn't eaten since yesterday. Still human under the mask.
Now he's positioned to interact with his targets. Danglars first, now a rich banker. Obsessed with speculation telegrams, market swings.
His wife, the Baroness Danglars, from an old family, married Danglars after being widowed. And she's involved with Debray, the minister's secretary.
And she's playing the market too, using Debray's tips, which are sometimes wrong, costing Danglars a fortune. That false Don Carlos tip cost him 700,000 francs. He demands a cutback from her. Total loss that month, 1.7 million.
And that great detail, the Baroness recognizing her own horses pulling Monte Cristo's carriage, a little hint of his power.
Then Villefort. Now the top prosecutor, Monte Cristo meets him, mentions rendering him some casual piece of good fortune, keeping up the helpful persona.
And Madame de Villefort, she's strangely impressed by the Count. Her son, Edward, is described as having sly malice and childish naughtiness. A bit creepy.
And Monte Cristo makes that comment about Mithridates and poison tolerance. Says he took similar precautions himself. Major foreshadowing there. He knows poisons.
Then the Morcerf family again. Fernand, now a general, his wife, Mercédès, their son, Albert.
And Mercédès' reaction to meeting the Count is powerful. Pale and motionless, a nervous shudder. She senses danger immediately.
She warns Albert about him, feels he can harm them, but Albert just sees the charming Count, dismisses her fears. She knows deep down, doesn't she?
Seems like it. Finally, Valentine de Villefort, the stepdaughter. Rich, inheriting from several sides, and Noirtier, Villefort's paralyzed father, communicates with his eyes, his Girondin past still lurking.
So all the players are on the board in Paris. The stage is set.
And the vengeance begins, starting with the Villefort tragedy. Your sources really focus on the secret love between Valentine and Maximilien Morel.
Mere Morel's son, right? Now captain. Their meetings are described so tenderly. Two voices, two shadows, her hand through the grating.
But there's the money issue. His income versus her huge fortune from her father, grandparents, maybe Mortier too.
And Noirtier plays a key part. Loves Valentine deeply, the source says, and he strongly opposes her arranged marriage to Franz d'Épinay.
So Villefort brings Franz to see Noirtier, trying to get his okay. But Noirtier makes Franz read this sealed packet.
Which reveals
Noirtier killed Franz's father, General d'Épinay, in a duel years ago, just before the 100 Days. The source even gives dialogue from the duel.
wow. So Franz obviously backs out, can't marry the daughter of his father's killer.
Exactly, engagement off, which leaves Valentine's inheritance vulnerable. And that's where Madame de Villefort sees her chance.
Her motive: get that money for her own son, Edward. The source quotes her, thinking if Valentine was out of the way, the fortune would eventually go to Edward.
So the poisonings start, targeting those whose deaths benefit Edward. First, the grandparents, the Samarins, then Valentine herself.
Maximilian is frantic, alerts Monte Cristo. The Count visits Valentine, gives her that red liquid, tells her to drink only that and pretend to be asleep. He knows the prisoner will be back.
The doctor, Devrigny, investigates. He tells Villefort the killer is in the house. He figures out the poison is brucine.
And here's the chilling part, how he knows.
He's been treating Noirtier with brucine for his paralysis for a year, building his tolerance. No one knows that, he says.
So the killer must know this intimate detail. Someone inside the family, Devrigny lays it out. The motive was the double inheritance from the Samarins, then Valentine's fortune.
Villefort has to confront his wife. She tries to deny it, then confesses. Villefort is horrified, calls poisoners cowards, tells her she should have kept poison for herself.
They find the half-empty glass, the remaining poison. Proof. Madame Villefort is terrified. The servants flee the accursed house.
Villefort just loses it, descends into madness, shouting his wife's name, Eloise, trying to break down her door.
And it ends with him confronting Monte Cristo, finally recognizing him. You are Edmond Dantès.
In his madness, he drags the Count upstairs to see the result. His wife is dead, poisoned herself. Here, look, they are dead.
Villefort shrieks, then runs out, completely mad. A total self-inflicted destruction.
Devastating. Okay, now Fernand. The Morcerf downfall. Albert is engaged to Eugénie Danglars, but Danglars hesitates. Yeah, he mentions Fernand's mysterious past, hints at a long and terrible history involving Fernand and Janina. Monte Cristo subtly encourages him to dig into it.
The source gives a quick recap of Fernand's rise after Dante's vanished desertion, joining the other side, promotions, becoming a general, all built on Edmond's ruin.
And the key to exposing him is Haydée. Monte Cristo introduces her as his adopted daughter, a princess he bought as a slave.
He's protective. I shall never leave you. She's loyal. I could not live without you. He speaks her language, Romaic, with Albert highlighting her background.
She's the daughter of Ali Tebelin, Pasha of Janina. The source recounts his tragic end preparations for betrayal, the signals with a poignard and ring, the desperate escape attempt.
Her mother's words to the guard, if it be the poignard, kill us. Just heart-wrenching, shows the stakes.
And Haydée delivers the final blow. Appears before the committee investigating Fernand. Her reveal makes an indescribable impression.
She identifies herself, I am the daughter of Ali Tebelin, and testifies that Fernand, the traitor, betrayed her father, leading to his death, and sold her and her mother into slavery.
She provides the proof. The purchase document for 400,000 francs, signed El Kobier with the Sultan's seal. Undeniable.
Fernand is speechless, publicly disgraced. Haydée says she'd do it out of grief and respect to avenge my illustrious father's death. She waited for this chance.
Albert is furious, feels betrayed by Monte Cristo for setting this up, challenges him to a duel. I shall have killed him before 10 tomorrow morning.
But before the duel, Mercédès goes to Monte Cristo and she recognizes him instantly. Ah, I recognize you.
She begs him to spare Albert, spare my son. Take revenge on her and Fernand instead. She accepts her own blame for marrying Fernand.
She describes her years of suffering, those terrible dreams about the Château d'If, hearing that terrible scream every night for 10 years.
But Monte Cristo reminds her of his own 14 years, his need for vengeance. I must have my revenge, Mercédès. Their pain is just immense.
At the duel, Monte Cristo tells Albert the whole truth about Fernand's betrayal, about Edmond Dantès.
And Albert. He understands. He makes this incredible choice. He won't fight. He tells Monte Cristo, you see, Edmond, I am not mistaken.
He renounces his father's name. I am no longer a Morcerf and his fortune. Plans to go to Algeria, join the army, make a new honorable name.
His goal, either be an officer within 6 months or else dead. A name for himself and his mother.
His goodbye to Mercédès is so sad. Mother, I must go. She accepts it. He sells his watch for cash, leaves on a boat for Marseille, watched by Morel and Monte Cristo, a different kind of ending for him. Redemption, maybe.
A path towards it, certainly. Breaking the cycle.
Okay, last target. Danglars. Monte Cristo goes after his money. Danglars is already anxious about an audit scheduled for at 2 o'clock.
Monte Cristo shows up, demands 5 million francs owed to hospitals, insists on cash, 5 1 million franc notes, just to twist the knife.
Danglars is terror-stricken. Monte Cristo returns bonds, demands payment differently, showing his total control, leaving Danglars ruined.
And Danglars is so obsessed with appearances, he avoids Valentine's funeral because the Cavalcanti affair, another of Monte Cristo's schemes gone wrong for him, made him look ridiculous. His irreproachable name is everything, and it's shattered.
While all this is happening, Maximilien Morel is in deep despair, thinking Valentine is dead. The source describes his grief, hollow cheeks, nervously clasping his hands at her funeral, a shadow glide.
He's ready to kill himself. Has pistols.
But Monte Cristo stops him. You shall not take your life.
He argues passionately against despair, reminds Maximilian of his own suicide attempt in prison pushing away the bread, and of Maximilian's father's despair years ago.
He insists there's a hidden future, tells him, you will thank me for having saved your life, then gives him that remedy he asked for the greenish substance.
Maximilian takes it, believing it's poison. My grief itself will kill me.
But it leads to the reunion. Monte Cristo takes him to a room. As the drug takes effect, Maximilian sees this brilliant light, this woman of marvelous beauty.
It's Valentine, alive, saved by the Count's elixir. Maximilian thinks he's seeing an angel. Is heaven opening before me? Monte Cristo lets them reunite, a moment of pure grace amidst all the destruction.
Amazing. Finally, Monte Cristo returns to Marseille, finds Mercédès grieving alone right where his father used to stand.
She's heartbroken. Albert is gone. She feels all alone in the world.
Monte Cristo offers consolation, not happiness, says it's no longer in my power to bring happiness.
But he supports Albert's choice, calls him a noble-hearted soul, predicts he'll become great and powerful through struggle, remaking a future for them both. It's a quiet, sad acknowledgement of what's lost, but with a tiny flicker of hope for the future generations.
Wow, what a journey through these key moments from the sources. From that innocent sailor betrayed through the prison transformation to this incredibly detailed, devastating revenge.
It really lays bare the whole chain reaction, doesn't it? How all their fates were tangled up. And the themes just jump out from these passages: injustice, corruption, the past haunting everyone. But also loyalty, love, even a chance for new beginnings, maybe.
Looking at these specific moments, what does it tell us about, human nature? We see terrible cruelty, calculated revenge, but also deep love, incredible resilience, that search for meaning after everything's been taken away. It really makes you think about the impact of our choices.
And that's why this deep dive, looking closely at these sources, where the story still hits so hard today, I think. It's this huge exploration of justice versus revenge. And it asks tough questions, doesn't it? Can you ever really find justice outside the law? And is the cost of revenge, even when maybe justified, just too high in the end, even for the Count himself?
So what do you take away from this deep dive?